Retired Vice Admiral John Fozzie Miller served as commander of the U.S. Naval Central Command and commander of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. Retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb served as a Black Hawk pilot and battalion commander. And Rebecca Heinrichs is a national security analyst who studied and graduated with the highest distinction from the College Naval Command and Staff. Great to have you all. James, I'll come to you first, and we'll do kind of a lightning round setup of just where we are with our military and where you want to see us go with us celebrating them this holiday. James.
Yeah, so I got to start with a word on the president. Because people misunderstand the role of the commander-in-chief, particularly in the age we're in, and how important that is. So Donald Trump doesn't like to waste life. We always think you should do this, you should do that. He's always thinking about is people die when we do these things. And some people get that, but we do. I mean, we kill bad guys like Soleimani, but just killing people is just not in his DNA. But what's more important, I think people don't understand, and what's important about this president, and which every single leader that follows him should remember is, no matter what you do, whether you're shooting a Tomahawk or firing from a bomber or sending a special forces team, you are putting an American service person's life at risk in every single military operation. We actually have people that die in training all the time. And he knows that. And behind every decision, it's, do I have to do this? Because I'm not only going to maybe kill an innocent person, but I might deprive a parent or a brother or a sister of somebody. And I don't want to do that unless there's a need for the nation to serve the nation. I think that's an important lesson that we should carry way into the future because they reflect, I think, what we're doing currently around the world.
You have commanded so many. And this is a moment right now, as James is explaining, we are in this ceasefire that's actually lasted longer than the days we were actually fighting against Iran. What is a word you might want to say to our U.S. troops as we celebrate 250?
Well, the word to say, particularly to the 50,000 troops that are over in the region right now, is thank you very much. Because we think it's hot here. It's really hot there. And
that's true.
And they're out there day after day, 12, 14, 16 hours on a flight deck where the temperature is 140 degrees, down in the engine rooms on the ships, out on the flight lines. It's a very difficult mission. They've been doing it for a long time. They're doing an incredible job. And all of us are going to have this great 250-year celebration of our nation and our independence with our friends, with our families. Those people aren't, but it's because of those people that are out there today on the tip of the spear. From sea to shining sea, all of us will be able to celebrate.
Love that. What are your thoughts?
Reinforcing what you just heard, that's a great message to send. And personally, I'd like to see this momentum keep going, this momentum for change in the military that says, we're going to focus only on the job that you sign up to do. We're not going to experiment with all this other stuff that doesn't have anything to do with the military's mission of lethality and protecting these great United States. And I think that's why you're seeing so many people join up to serve again, because once again, they see that they are serving the people of this great nation, and that's all they want to do. You can talk to the politicians about where we get sent, that's for sure. But I ultimately really just want to see people sign up to serve the military because this nation is worth defending. These people are worth serving. And I think that is a great thing, and I think people will continue to do so.
I love that. These people are worth serving. Amen. God bless you. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, has put a fine point on recruitment, and it has gone up exponentially. Rebecca.
Well, first of all, Harris, I think your story and your dad's story is really important to remind Americans that it's not just one person who puts on the uniform and goes to fight, that behind him or her is an entire family, an entire legacy. And so we owe a great debt of gratitude to families of service members and veterans. And I think, at one point, the challenge of the time was communism and the spread of communism. But today's warfighters have an incredibly complex threat environment. It's China, it's Russia, it's North Korea, it's Iran, and it's these other challenges. And it's not just our incredible military capabilities. We think of stealth technology, what we saw with the B-2 bomber and Epic Fury and Midnight Hammer. It's not just that we have 750 bases sprawled across the planet that enables us to project power. It is the incredible power, discipline, and training of each individual warfighter. And when we focus on the warfighter, they can exercise those principles of self-governance and the defense of human liberty that is the DNA of this nation. When we get back to focusing on lethality and training and discipline, of course you're going to see recruitment numbers go up.
All right, I want to get to a poll from last year that asked about confidence in key institutions, and the military topped the list with 72%. So we know things are changing throughout the years on this, but look at this. And this is ahead of, and you can see it there, this is ahead of banks, judicial system, national government. Well, that doesn't surprise me so much. But elections, so on and so forth. I mean, the military, what do you think does that, James?
Actually, we're getting back to normal. That's the way it was for decades coming out of Vietnam.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why. And actually, listening to your story about you and your dad, that was my dad, right? Except he was a Korean War veteran. And we all talk about recruiting. What really matters is retention, right? You can sell anybody something once, right? But when you sign up when you know what you're getting into again, and retention's also very high. So what is that? And these guys will tell you exactly the same thing. I'm absolutely positive. I go into the military, I think I'm going to come out a better person. I think I'm going to learn things and people on how to be a better human being and be more successful in life. But I do want to serve my nation, but I want to have a sense of purpose. There's a mission that I'm given that's clear, and I'm given resources, and I feel like I don't want to say fun, because there's lots of things I'm sure we all did that were not fun, but we felt like we were just accomplishing something. And it's that sense of accomplishment that really keeps people serving. And that's why when the numbers are up like that, it's the legitimacy of the service and what they're doing, and the public sees that and they embrace that, because that's what they really want from everybody.
Vice Admiral Miller, as you're listening to James talk about this, that's the history, and that's kind of our present, perhaps we pray. But the future, what do you hope for the future for our U.S. military?
Well, as always, we have a lot of work to do in the future. And so one of the most difficult things there is to do is retain sort of the moral high ground when you're in conflict. And our military has effectively been in conflict this entire century. So the fact that we still have the trust of the people says a lot about how we operate the military. So we want to be able to move into the future, to be able to do autonomous activities and using drones instead of people. But we want to continue to have technology that moves us ahead. But at the same time, we've got to take care of our people, and we've got to take care of the ethos that brings them, attracts them to the military. We are who we are. We do what we say we're going to do. We do it with honor and integrity. That draws young people, and that's what we need to be able to do in the future.
Look, I want to get into politics just a little bit. And so, Lieutenant Colonel Gobb, there has been a mighty fight on the Hill. You know how this is going, not just for money for the military, but just kind of the purpose of the military, particularly for the left. Your thoughts?
I think it comes back to what you mentioned before, is that Secretary Hegseth's focus constantly is on lethality and the word mission, as you've heard here many times. If we can do that, then the military will only get higher than 72%, because we're not going to be involved in all the different kind of political wrestling matches, I guess you could say, that are going on the Capitol
But you
Hill.
do need funding.
But you do need funding.
And they're
Absolutely.
fighting over that. Real quickly, Rebecca.
Look, all of the problems that we have domestically in the United States, we cannot solve any of them if we are not strong, safe, and secure, which is why President Trump's budget and Hegseth's insistence on spending this is so important to get to 5% of GDP, $1.5 trillion. We need that. And getting back to Jim's point, you want the military to be nonpartisan, non-political. People love it because it is competent, it's getting the job done, and they're focused on e pluribus unum, out of many, one with one purpose.
My dad thought that way. No matter what civil rights things were going on, he loved America, and he knew she would rise. And he was right. Progress. We don't talk enough about it, but we got a lot of progress. Great to have all four of you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service, and thank you for being here. Okay.